Hello guys and welcome back to another Beard Guys video. My name's Ben and today we're watching a replay of the Jagdpanzer E-100. So this is one of the two German tier 10 tank destroyers in World of Tanks. It was my second tier 10 to unlock and I've had it for quite a while now. Not used it a huge amount, maybe 100 battles. I tend to, once I hit tier 10, I'll get it back on with grinding up new lines and then I'm not using them so much. And I find at tier 10 I find it quite difficult. Unless you're platooned up, it can be pretty difficult at tier 10. You do tend to run into a lot of platoons of good players and gangs and mediums. It can make things quite tricky. But yeah, so we're on South Coast today. We've got a little T-71 that's having a cheeky up here, and I was kind of just ignoring him and letting my team deal with him, but it didn't look like the team was really doing that, so I dealt with him. We got him out of the game. Normally, in that sort of situation, I tend to just ignore and drive on. When you're in a behemoth of a tank like this, I'm not really worried about a T-71. They haven't got any artillery, so it's no worry about being spotted, especially. But what I wanted to show you, or the reason I wanted to show this replay, was not so much for the giant gun on this tank, which is what it's mostly known for. Gun that can dish out just over 1,000 average damage and has 299mm of penetration. It's more about the armour of this tank, which is very, very good, and especially if you angle it. And it'd be interesting to maybe try and guess what you think the... Bit unlucky on the E5 there with that shot. Be interested to try and guess what you think the blocked damage is going to be at the end of this round. Bear in mind it's a pretty easy matchmaking game. There's not too many tier 10s in this. But I don't really come up here on South Coast very often, so I thought I'd come up here and give it a go. I was just spending an evening playing this tank for a bit of fun. Oh, there we go. That's a full damage shot connects. 1100 damage on E5, and he's very swiftly finished off by a teammate. And that just shows you what it can do. But it can be a little bit unreliable, the accuracy on this gun. I do find it can bounce. They're not HE rounds or anything like that, like a Death Star, so you're going to have some bounces. And into the upper plate of a Jagdtiger like that, you probably not good. I'm not sure if my shell didn't get there in time before he died, or if it bounced first and then he died. But I wouldn't have been 100% confident of that bouncing. But back to the armour of this tank. So you see what I'm doing here. Whenever I'm in between shots, and as often as possible, I'm angling my tank pretty severely. And what that does is that increases the effective thickness of your armour. By Mr. Carnarvon. Making it very hard for the enemy to penetrate you. Ignoring the fact that this tank already has very thick superstructure. It can be very difficult to penetrate, and really it's the lower plate that they're going to be trying to get to do any damage to you. So we try and find a shot on the STI here, and unfortunately it drops a bit low and goes into his tracks. If that had gone dead in the middle where it was aimed, then that would have been a definite kill. But when they go low in the tracks like that, they tend to get eaten up by the tracks a lot more and you don't do damage, so it's easy in hindsight to say you should have aimed higher, but then you don't know where it's going to go. So I'm just shuffling around here. If there was artillery on this map, I wouldn't be quite so still, but I'm pretty confident there's not too much out there to worry about. So I'm just shuffling about, keep it angled as much as I can, and just try and get off a few shots. I was trying to find a shot on that guy for a while, but thankfully my team do the job for me. So we got 3 damage ribbons and a couple of kills already, but I'm looking at the amount of people they've got left and my hit points and thinking I need to get more involved. I'm breeding pretty base campy here, and 3 shots isn't enough damage. I want to do more damage than that. And keep in mind, 2 of those were, what, 200, 300 damage on the Carnarvon and a couple of 100 damage on the light tank. You want to be putting out 3,000 plus damage a game in this tank to feel like you're kind of doing enough. Like, you can do a lot more than that, but you're doing 3,000 really is 3 shots, so it shouldn't be too difficult to achieve. So I see these guys up here and think I'll push up. This thing's got great armor, it's got a great gun. I'm going to go and get involved and do a bit more damage, because it looks like this battle's pretty much in the bag. And we saw these tanks coming down the beach. There's a heavy tank just moved in, just got finished off, but we had so many tank destroyers camping right at the base that I didn't have too much worry about whether we were going to get capped or not. And in my mind when I was driving around this corner, what I was more worried about was the Foch and my team doing too much damage to these guys. So I wanted them to have plenty of health left, because I want to get there and then have plenty of health left for me to take down. And that's how you've got to think about these situations. You've got to think in a positive way, and the way that benefits you and your team. Because I know I can take these guys. So as you can see, you sacrifice some mobility and speed for the crazy amount of armour. The other tier 10 German tank destroyer, the WoT Xbox E-100, with its insane autoloader but terrible armour. It's much better mobility, but a turret that is pretty much made of paper. And unfortunately we have to use our repair kit there because we decide it's worth it to get this guy out of the game. I don't want to get circled by him. Here's the main danger over this side. The heavy tank, not so much of a danger. I mean, he definitely could have done better when you see what happens, but it's the mediums you've got to watch out for. They're most likely to circle me and take my gun out of the game. This guy, an IS-4 against a Jageroo doesn't really cut it. And we put one massive shot into the side of him there. And what I was trying to do there was, you can do quite a bit of ramming damage with this tank. I was trying to smash into his tracks, and it's quite easy to track people with ramming damage, so I was hoping to retrack him after he'd repaired and leave him sitting there for me to shoot him again. But unfortunately it didn't quite work, but it took off a tiny bit of damage. And another shot into him. If that had been a high roll, that probably would have one-shotted him. Or maybe quite not. But it would have been pretty close. So this guy's not having much luck. He's bounced every shot so far. I've still only taken, I think, one damaging shot, which was quite a while ago. And that was definitely not a good move by him. Decides to drive straight at me while I'm uphill from him, ram into him, he takes 300 damage, and then we just completely smash him. He does manage to get a shot through our armour on that occasion though, and we take about 400 damage, and damages our gun. So we got 4 kills now. I'm pretty much on my own over here, but I know that medium was last seen up in this corner, so I'm just going to charge up here and try and find him, really. I'm not, at this stage in the game, I'd really like to get another shot away. If I can't, that's fine. If I try and kill him and get killed, that's fine as well, because we're probably just going to win. So I just want to try and do more damage if I can. Now, you'll see me make a couple of big mistakes coming up. There's the first one. Rushing the shot, thinking, okay, I'll try and just catch him quickly while he's backing off, because I thought he's just trying to run away. And then as soon as I fired, he was really on the ball and made a good move and moved straight at me. He knew what was going on. I manages to get just out of my gun arc, 2 seconds left to reload, and then damages my hammer rack. So I have a 43-second reload even when I do fire. But what I should have been doing at this stage was trying to get up against that cliff and get the back of my tank up against that cliff, or if you're near the edge of the map, use that, because then they just can't circle you. They can go around one side and then they're trapped and they can't go anymore. But in these situations you panic, and sometimes it works out, and in this case it did. Thanks to an extremely lucky save from my teammate there, leaving me on a tiny scrap of health. But here's that block damage I was talking about. Nearly 7,000 block damage, steel wool medal. 4,000 damage is okay, not amazing in a tier 10 game. 1,000 assisted is alright again. But 7,000, I was pretty pleased with that. I've certainly seen more. A friend of mine sent me a screenshot. I think he had 12,000 block damage, which I think probably in a mouse or a T95. But 7k, I was pleased with that. That was a pretty fun round as well. Shows what kind of hits you can bounce in a vehicle like that. So I hope you enjoyed this replay. If you did, please think about hitting the like button or subscribing to the channel. and check out some other videos around the channel as well. Nice one. Well, my name's Ben, we're the Beard Guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you later.